Hey everyone, I'm Army Gaming. Welcome back to my channel and welcome to Monster Analysis. Up for analysis today is Bella Baal. When Bella Baal was born, she was so precious that her mother, Queen Luthien, thought even the tiniest flea would hurt her. She asked White Panda to cast a protection spell over her. The spell was effective. Now when she's in danger, Bella Baal turns into a ferocious beast. And so this is a pretty cool take on Beauty and the Beast. It's more like Beauty is the Beast. When you see some of her attack animations, she actually turns into a beast. So I personally think that's really cool. I really enjoy the monster's design, even though right now it doesn't look like a monster. I love the attention to detail, the fact that it's a princess with the birds surrounding her. I don't know, overall I really enjoyed this design. And anyways, as of the time recording this video, there are a total of 22 light legendary monsters. So I'm going to be comparing Bella to the remaining 21 light legendary monsters. And so starting things off with power, Bella boasts an impressive power of 3,454, which turns out is the second highest power stat for light monsters. Currently, the highest power stat for light monsters is 3,498, which belong to Taiga and Lathe. After those two monsters, Kaisa, King Darren, and now Bella Bob, they all have 3,454, so she's a really powerful monster. And as for her life, 32,874, this is actually the highest life for light legendary monsters. So originally, only Hasai and Ingvar's pet boasted this life, while now Bella Bob also has the highest life. And unfortunately, as is the case when a monster has a high power or a high life, they tend to be pretty slow. And in this case, Bella is no different. She's extremely slow. This speed of 3,278 actually puts her in 17th place, so she's only faster than 5 other light legendary monsters. And so you can argue whether that matters or doesn't matter, because normally when you have an attacker, it's only their job to attack. If you have another teammate that can deny the enemy monster, if they can AoE deny the enemy team, then you're solid, your Bella is free to attack. But if that isn't the case, if for some reason you can't AoE deny, then you could be kind of in trouble, because if the enemy has an attacker themselves, most likely, assuming same runes, they would be faster than you. However, if you were to have better runes than your opponent, that really wouldn't be much of a problem. And another thing Bella has going for her is that this monster was available in a team race. And so the people that actually have Bella are either going to have Bella in rank 1, rank 2, or rank 3. If they have her in rank 1, these are going to be her stats. And so at rank 1, a Bella at level 105, her speed would be 3,427, which would be extremely good for a light attacker. And as for the people that have Bella at rank 2, which means they could level her up all the way to level 110, well then her speed would be 3,576, which is even better. However, she still wouldn't necessarily be the fastest light monster. Cassia currently holds the record for light monsters, having a speed of 3,630. Which means that for the people that have Bella at rank 3, which means they can level her up all the way to level 115, then Bella instantly becomes the fastest light legendary monster. And so yeah, for the people that actually have Bella, you have the advantage that you probably have this monster anywhere from rank 1 to rank 3. Anyways, with that out of the way, let's move on to the trait. Bella is hardened. All status effects have a 20% less accuracy against it. And so this is a pretty good trait to have, especially for a slow monster like Bella. There's a 20% chance nothing can happen to her. She can't be frozen, she can't be possessed, she can't be stunned, and considering we're dealing with light monsters, there's a 20% chance he can't be blinded or dazed. Moving on over to skills, for default we have a Beauty Like Me and Be My Guest. Just your average physical and light attack, nothing too interesting. As for the ultimate skill, Can't Wait to Be Queen, deals massive light damage to all enemies, may sunburn all targets, may blind all targets, heals itself by 30%. So Can't Wait to Be Queen is a light based attack that deals 70 damage to all of the enemy monsters. And on top of that, it also applies this new effect called Sunburn. And Sunburn has two effects. First of all, it's like a reskin of Burning. For the following 3 turns, the enemy will lose 15% of their health, which is great because you're going to be able to use this attack against monsters that are immune to burning. And the second effect is that the enemy's accuracy is reduced by 15% for the following 3 turns, which you can think of it as like a mini blind or a mini nerfed blind. And hey, take a look at that. Aside from doing Sunburn, which reduces the enemy's accuracy by 15%, she also does an AoE blind, so the enemy's accuracy is going to be reduced by another 50%. So in total, after using your ultimate attack, the enemy's accuracy is actually going to be reduced by a whopping 65%. And also keep in mind that AoEs already have an accuracy of 90% and single attacks tend to have a 95% accuracy, so most of the time the enemy is going to be completely missing. And as a nice little extra bonus, you also heal yourself by 30% in case you've taken any damage. And so what more can I say other than this ultimate is really amazing. Of course, if it would have been special based, it could have been even stronger, but keep in mind that Bella has one of the highest powers, she also has one of the highest life. And this skill, even if it doesn't finish off the enemy, it still applies a DOT that reduces the enemy's life by 50%, and they also have their accuracy reduced, which means they can't land hits on you, you're recovering life. This skill really just does it all. It's absolutely amazing. Anyways, in skills group 1 we have Princess Bella, the Aristocrats, and Kiss the Beast. All of these skills do either 50% chance to daze, a 50% chance to blind, or a 50% chance to sunburn. Nothing too interesting. Let's move on over to skills group 2. And so we start things off with Shield of Life. Gains a 30% shield, removes all negative status effects from itself, may daze all enemies, requires cooldown. So currently Shield of Life sets to target a single enemy, but in the description it actually says that it dazes all of the enemy targets. And it also says in the description that you gain a 30% shield and you remove negative effects from yourself. So I'm pretty sure this is intended to be a self skill. Now there's one thing I'm a little confused about, and maybe you guys can share your insight in the comments below. Assuming Shield of Life is a self skill, I'm curious what is going to happen if you were to be possessed. Normally when you have a self skill and you're possessed, nothing happens, right? Because the self skill is only applied to yourself. In which case for Bella, she can get a small shield and remove debuffs. But what about the daze aspect? If you're possessed, do you reflect the daze to your own team? Or do you reflect the daze to the enemy? Or what happens in that case? And for right now, that's the only thing really confusing me. So if anyone has any thoughts or any insight on how that's going to work, please let me know in the comments below. With that being said, in the case that you were to be possessed and you do daze your own team, you definitely do not want to use this skill. So you got to be careful about that if you were to get this monster. But anyways, let's just talk about this right now. May daze all enemies. Daze, as you know, reduces the enemy's damage output by 25% and it reduces their accuracy by 25% also. And keep in mind that her new negative effect, Sunburn, reduces the enemy's accuracy by 15%. So if you combine Daze and Sunburn, that's 40% accuracy reduced. And then if you add Blind to the mix, that's another 50% for a whopping 90%, which is just incredibly unreal. They are definitely going to be missing all of their attacks, possibly even their ultimate attacks. And depending on the kind of Bella build you're going for, you may or may not want to run this skill. If you're going for a supportive Bella, you definitely need this skill in your arsenal. If you're going for a more offensive Bella, then you don't need this skill at all. Next up we have Let It Blind. Deals heavy light damage, may blind target, requires cooldown. Let It Blind is a light based attack that deals 65 damage to one enemy monster. It costs 31 stamina to use and it only has a 1 turn cooldown. Now myself personally, I love when a monster has a really powerful attack, like 60 and above, that has an extra effect. Because just in case this skill can't kill the enemy, and realistically if you have high level runes, given this monster's power, given the high level strength runes, and the 65 damage, you're pretty much guaranteed to one hit any non-light monster. But if for some reason that enemy monster does survive, then they're still going to be blinded, which means even when it's their turn to attack you, there's a 50% chance they're going to miss, or slightly greater depending on the attack they use. If it's an AoE, that already has a 90% accuracy. If it's a single hit, that usually has a 95% accuracy. And so this skill would actually be useful in both builds. A supportive Bella can take advantage of the blind, and a Bella intended for offensive purposes can take advantage of the 65 damage 1 turn cooldown. Anyways, next up we have Feel the Hit Tonight. Deals moderate special damage to all enemies, removes all positive status effects from all targets, requires cooldown. Feel the Hit Tonight is a special based attack that deals 40 damage to all of the enemy monsters. It costs 37 stamina and it has a 3 turn cooldown. And this skill, on top of being pretty powerful, it also removes all positive effects from the enemy team. And so once again, this skill works for both an offensive and a supportive Bella. The fact that you can remove good effects from the enemy team is absolutely amazing for both builds. If you're going up against earth monsters, this means removing shields. And since Bella herself is a light monster, when going up against light monsters, take for example General Ingvar, who can give his whole team life regeneration and stamina regeneration. Thanks to this skill, you can get rid of that. And lots of light monsters are also very well known for giving their monster damage boost, double damage, as well as increased accuracy. So you definitely want to have a skill like Feel the Hit Tonight. And not to mention that it's also a special based attack that deals 40 damage to all of the enemy team. What more can you ask for? Well anyways, let's move on over to skills group 3, Be Prepared. Gives a 40% shield to itself, removes all negative status effects from itself, gains damage boost, requires cooldown. So here we have a true self skill. It costs 30 stamina, has a 2 turn cooldown, you get a medium shield, which is a 40% shield for 2 turns, you remove any debuff you may have, and you get a damage boost that lasts for 2 turns, which means all of your attacks will be 50% stronger. And so I really like self skills, just because they give you effects in the situation where you were to be possessed. Normally when you're possessed, you just recharge, right? You recover stamina. But there are so many times when it's better to use an attack instead of being possessed, and in this case, you get a medium shield, which means you can take more hits, you get a damage boost, and especially given the fact that Bella is already really powerful and has powerful attacks, maybe you need that damage boost just to give you that little extra edge to wipe out the enemy monster in one hit. And this skill also lets you remove debuffs. Now keep in mind that your trait is hardened, which means 80% of the time, a negative effect will actually land on you. So if you happen to be blinded and you don't want to risk attacking because your attack might miss, you can use the self skill to get rid of that blind, get that damage boost, and attack on the following turn. Or if you had something like poison and bleeding that reduces your life and your damage output, this skill allows you to completely get rid of all that. And even in a situation where you were to get 2 turn possessed, that wouldn't matter because on the first turn you can use your self skill to not attack your own team, but instead rid yourself of the second turn possession and get the shield and get the damage boost. And for this skill, I don't think I'd really recommend it too much on the supportive build, but I really would recommend it on an offensive build because it never hurts to be prepared. And as for the next attack, we have a Whole New Hit. Deals massive special damage, requires cooldown. A Whole New Hit is a special based attack that targets one enemy, but it deals 75 damage to that enemy. It costs 28 stamina and it only has a 1 turn cooldown. And what can I say other than wow, 75 damage, special based, given this monster's power, given the strength runes, given the fact that most people are going to have a ranked up Bella from the get-go, this is just too amazing. If you're running an offensive Bella, this is the must-have skill. If you're running a supportive Bella, you probably don't need this skill. And because of this skill right here, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that Bella is officially the strongest light monster in terms of the damage output she can do in a single attack, across the board to every single monster element. I am aware that Lathe has the highest power and he does have an 80 damage attack, however Lathe's 80 damage attack is actually light based, so against a light monster it really wouldn't be that powerful. But a whole new hit is special based, so it doesn't matter if you attack a light monster or a non-light monster. Bella, I'm pretty sure, can deal the most damage in a single attack. But I don't know, I might have missed another monster, so you guys please correct me if I'm wrong in the comments below. But once again, a supportive Bella doesn't really need this skill, but an offensive Bella, it's a must-have skill. And the final skill we have is the Bella Beast. Deals moderate special damage to all enemies, may sunburn all targets, requires cooldown. Here we have another special based AoE that deals 35 damage to all of the enemy monsters, it costs 37 stamina, and it has a 3-turn cooldown. And this skill applies the new effect Sunburn to all of the enemy monsters, which once again is minus 15% of their life and minus 15% accuracy. And this is another skill that works on both Bellas, whether you're going for an offensive Bella or whether you're going for a supportive Bella. When you're going for a supportive build set, you're just trying to weaken the enemy as much as possible or support your team. In this case, the enemy is going to have a DOT and their accuracy is reduced. If you're going for an offensive Bella, the reason this skill can actually be used is both because of the DOT and the reduced accuracy, but mostly because it's a 35% special based AoE, which means after you use the Bella Beast, you can follow up the next turn with Feel the Hit Tonight. Together these skills are a combined 75 damage special based AoE, which is more than enough to wipe out all of the enemy monsters, including the enemy light monster. So there's a few different skill sets you can put on Bella, the first of which I'm going to talk about is the supportive skill set. And for this kind of skill set, there's a lot of different kinds of runes you can put on this monster. My recommendation for a supportive Bella would probably be 3 team speed runes, or 2 team speed and a speed rune, or depending on the level you're at, you can even put in a life rune or a team life if you're experienced with it. And as for skills for this Bella, you want to put Shield of Life, Let It Blind, Feel the Hit Tonight, and the Bella Beast. And if you notice, all of the skills on a supportive Bella, they all do something to the enemy team. Bella Beast applies Sunburn to all of the enemy monsters. Feel the Hit Tonight gets rid of any positive effects they may have on their team. Let It Blind targets a single enemy and blinds them, which reduces their accuracy, which means they won't be able to hit you potentially. And you want Shield of Life just because of the AoE days. And a supportive Bella would probably work the best in a team wars where legendary is the rarity, because by having a Bella with team speedruns, you're giving an advantage to your deny monster to go before the enemy deny monster. And as for an offensive Bella, there's a few different strategies. You could always go the typical route of 2 strength runes and a speed rune. I still think that's a really good rune setup. If you happen to get Bella at level 115, you could probably do 1 speed rune, 1 strength rune, and then 1 team speed rune, once again just to guarantee that your deny monster goes first. Or if you do happen to have her at 115, you could also do 2 strength runes and a team speed instead of a speed. And that's once again just to help your deny monster, but I personally would still go with 2 strength and 1 speed. And as for what skills to put on an offensive Bella, once again there's like 2 strategies. The first of which I already talked about earlier, you can do the Bella Beast and Feel the Hit Tonight, so run both of the AoEs, that's more than enough to wipe out the enemy team. Or you can also forget about the AoEs, and because you have the 75 damage special based skill, you can pretty much just start off any game using this attack, wipe out the enemy monster, and then on the following turn use Let It Blind to wipe out another enemy monster, and then on your third turn use a whole new hit again to wipe out the last enemy monster. And if you're thinking, yeah that works Armor, but that takes 3 turns as opposed to 2 turns, keep in mind that when you use 2 AoEs, both AoEs have a 90% accuracy, so using 2 AoEs consecutively does have a greater chance to miss. Anyways, I still think a whole new hit is a must-have skill, and I really like Let It Blind because you can cycle those skills, and it's definitely strong enough to kill the enemy non-light monster, and even if they live it blinds them, which is as close as you're gonna get to denying. And then comparing both AoEs, as much as I like the Bella Beast, I think I kinda like Feel the Hit Tonight just because it removes positive effects, which means if they have life regeneration, although the Bella Beast does give them a DOT that reduces their life by 50%, life regeneration heals the enemy's monster's life by 20%, so they still have a net gain of 5%. I think it'd be better to run Feel the Hit Tonight to remove any positive effect. This would also help if they have a damage boost or increased accuracy. And not to mention, it is 5 points stronger. So if you're debating between running either AoE, I would go with Feel the Hit Tonight, which would leave you free to run Be Prepared. And this skill is really more for just when you're going against a monster that can possess you. Other than that, you don't really need to be prepared, but like I already said, it doesn't hurt to be prepared. If you find yourself in a dark war or in a magic war, a skill like this would be really useful. So for an offensive skill set, you can use a whole new hit, Feel the Hit Tonight, Let It Blind, and Be Prepared. Or if you want, you can use the Bella Beast, a whole new hit, Feel the Hit Tonight, and Let It Blind. But of course, you're more than welcome to put whatever skill set you want. Maybe instead of Let It Blind, you can run both AoEs, Be Prepared, and a whole new hit, that's totally fine too. Bella is just one of those monsters that has a lot of uses and a lot of good skills, so there's different ways to mix and match. And lastly, if you want to run this monster on defense, I would recommend Let It Blind, Feel the Hit Tonight, A Whole New Hit, and the Bella Beast. And for a defensive Bella, especially for those of you that have her at 115, and whereas most of your other monsters level 100, which means most of the opponents you face only have level 100 monsters, I would go the all speedrun route. And I think it would be especially smart to put Bella on defense when it's team wars involving common monsters. Because regardless of what skill Bella does, whether it be Let It Blind, that's going to be dealing 65 damage. Feel the Hit Tonight, that's a 40 damage AoE, A Whole New Hit will be dealing 75 damage special based, and the Bella Beast, aside from being 35 damage AoE, it's also going to apply Sunburn and reduced accuracy. So Bella can also be a pretty good defense monster, and it's mostly because of that trait Hardened. 80% of the time they will immobilize her, but the other 20% of the time, Bella will get a hit in and they will wipe out the enemy common monster, which will reduce the number of coins they get in team wars. And other skill sets for defensive Bella also include 1 life, 1 strength, and 1 speed, or 2 speed and a strength, and really for defense, there are so many ways to mix it up, just depending on the team wars requirements. And with that being said, that is going to conclude my analysis on Bella. Please let me know what you thought about this analysis. More importantly, let me know what you think about this monster. How do you think she compares to the other monsters? How do you think she compares to the attacker light monsters and to the supportive light monsters? Please don't be shy, share your thoughts in the comments below. I really hope everyone enjoyed this video. Like always, remember to dream big and pursue your passions.